All right, so yesterday you guys learned how to calculate the line of best fit in Desmos. And today we're going to be adding a step in order to calculate the residual with Desmos. So the first thing you're going to do is find that line of best fit. So you're going to do the same thing you did yesterday. You'll hit add a table. So I've already done that up here, and I'm just going to enter my values. So for example 1, 4 volunteers are writing donation letters. The table shows the number of letters each wrote. And the between the amount, so the table shows the number of letters each wrote and the amount of donations needed, and we're trying to find the residuals. So we're going to just put in that data exactly like we see it. Make sure you're double checking as you go, because if you type it in wrong, your answers are not going to be right. So double check that often. Once I've got those in, I'm going to put in my equation. So my y1 is almost equal to mx1 plus b. Notice those numbers are very important. So if I didn't put those numbers, I would not have a line, okay? Because those numbers are corresponding to this table with the data. So that's how we get our line of best fit. Then I'm going to hit the magnifying glass so that I can see what the data and the line are. And I'm going to click one more button this time. So I'm going to, under residuals, it says E1 plot. I'm going to plot those residuals. And if I looked up at my table, I now have an E1 column, and those are going to be my residuals. So I can put those in. So 29.08, negative 111.2, 43.9, and 38.27. And then part 1 says, what is the difference between the observed value and the predicted value of someone who wrote 19 letters? So let's look at someone who wrote 19 letters. That would be Flo. And our observed value was 1,395. So 1,395. And then we can also subtract, we're going to subtract our predicted value. So that would be wherever 19 is, wherever x is 19 on our line. That would be 1351.09. So 1351.09 tells us that the difference was 43.9. But guys, if you notice, 43.9 is exactly what we had for our residual for 19. Okay, so that's telling us that our residual is just the difference between our observed value and our predicted value. So the difference here would have been 43.9. Part 2 says, which person raised the most or the money closest to the amount of money predicted? So it's going to be the one with the smallest residual, and it doesn't matter what the sign is, so just the smallest number, which in this case was 29. So that would be Jesse. And the last part, which person raised money farthest away? So that means the biggest residual, no matter what the sign is. So that would be 111 is the biggest number, and that was Rosa. For example 2, I went ahead and typed this table into Desmos to save us some time. So I will pull that up. And the first thing we want to do is find that line of is labeled x2 and y2. So I'm going to use y2 is almost equal to mx2 plus b. So you got to make sure those match. I'm going to plot those residuals. So now I've got my residuals, and it's asking me a question. So it says the statistician performed a linear regression and plotted the residuals. Based on the residual plot, they decided to exclude one data point. Which point did he exclude? So statisticians exclude outliers, and outliers are points that fall really far away from our predictions. So our outlier is going to be the point with the biggest residual. So in this case, it is going to be that -4, because that's the biggest number we have. And that falls at the point 6119. So That will be our answer for this one. And example 3. So the table shows the height of 6 students and their shoe size. How does Stephanie's shoe size compare to the shoe size predicted using a linear model for a student who is 73.5 inches tall? So Stephanie um, is 73.5 inches tall, and she wears a size 11. So that's the part of the data we're focused on. But we're going to follow our steps. So we're going to put in our equation. Our table uses x3 and y3. So we're going to do y3. Then it's equal to mx3 plus b. Then we will plot our residuals. And we'll focus on this line right here. So her residual, since she wears size 11 shoe, was negative 0.14. Okay, so that means we're narrowed down to C or D because it's talking about 14 units lower than the predicted size. And since it's negative, we know that it's going to be lower. It's going to be below the line. So Stephanie wears a shoe size 0.14 units lower than the shoe size predicted for a person 73.5 inches tall. C is our answer.